What's going on, traders? This is Jack with the Trading Tribe. Welcome back to the Trading Tribe, where we're going to go through really the final video in our video series, kind of walking through my trades that I had on the ES and NQ futures markets. I had a swing trade placed with both of the futures contracts here, and now I have exited both swing trades, and so wanted to do kind of a recap of how the trade ended up and then show kind of my tracking tool and show kind of a recap of that trade that we talked through, planned, and executed all together on the channel here. If you're new to this series, feel free to go watch my other two videos that were posted this week. But this will be kind of the final video to the series where we'll look at kind of reviewing the trade, seeing the entries and exits, and just overall, right, how the trade ended up working out. So here we can see on the NQ side, I was able to pull out about $18,000 of profit based on the swing trade. You can see my entry was here, my exit was here. This is a 10-minute chart, so kind of a zoomed out view. But if you're new to the series, basically all we did was we did kind of a range swing trade, trying to play this from one end of the range to the other. This trade has been working really well for the last few weeks. And so that's all we really did. We saw that we ended up holding kind of our floor area of the range, and then we were targeting kind of that upside ceiling level or resistance level of the range, and we just captured kind of a chunk of that move. I was also able to take this similar trade on the ES side, which is the S&P 500. If we zoom out, almost identical, right, in a range as well. You can see I netted a little bit above $10,000 on the ES side, and we can see very similar, right, played it from kind of key level to key level within this range and was able to capture kind of the meat of the move there. This number for P&L sake is after fees, so made a little bit more than this, but after netting out fees, that's the ended up total. Execution for NASDAQ's entry and exit are here. So here's date stamps of my entries and exits that line up with what you saw in the last video. And we can see here the trade ended up working out really, really well. So if we zoom out a little bit, I will show also the running P&L. So I like to review this. This is just throughout the trade, essentially, how the trade ended up working out. We can see this trade was extremely healthy, right when I got in, essentially. It started slowly trending in my favor, right, which is always a good sign. We didn't know this trade would pan out, but once we got in, really immediately after that, we kind of stayed flat for a little bit and then began to uptick from a P&L perspective as well. So it was a very, very easy hold, and I was also able to tighten quite a bit as well. And that's actually how I ended up getting out of the trade. So you can see this trade had a really nice move, pretty much exactly where we thought it would go. Based on last time, we had some big struggles right around that 19,100 level on NASDAQ, and then that equivalent ceiling on the ES side. And you can see that's exactly where NASDAQ ended up topping out. And at that point, right, I had an extremely tight stop loss, kind of was just trailing it up as we got closer and closer to that target. And that is, you can see where I ended up getting out with that exit order. So it was a very nice kind of range trade. This is how I will typically play ranges, really just from key level to key level. This ended up becoming a really, really nice trade here. We can see the trade started out with just about $1,000 risk. In a perfect case scenario, right, this would have gone to about 23,000 in profit. So it was a really nice planned risk reward. It was like a 20-to-1, right? Because of my entry, I was able to risk very little for a lot, right? And so that's the key to having really nice risk to reward situations, right? I was able to get in with tiny risk and was able to have a massive target based on these longer term time frames. An identical situation over on the ES futures side as well. And then we can see, right, because of my exit, I exited a little bit after that peak. You can see my actual R multiple was more of like a 15 to 1. But I was able to risk $1,000 and make about 15 times that on the profit side. So it was definitely a really, really nice trade. And then ES was identical, right? We can see I was planning on like a 17 to 1 type multiple, ended up getting like an 11 to 1. But at the end of the day, right, was risking about $1,000 for 15,000. And these are those scenarios, right, that you want to try to put yourself in, because you only need to win certain numbers of these to end up profitable. And the higher this R multiple is, the less you actually have to win in order to become a profitable trader. So if you're taking trades and the R multiple is a 1 to 1, you have to be 50% accurate to break even. With a 11 to 1, I can win one trade out of the next 11 and be break even. So it really makes it easier to become a profitable trader if you can really focus on these R multiples and get yourself in trades that are maybe a 2 to 1 or a 5 to 1. In this case, right, this was obviously a really big range, bigger than normal, and that's how I was able to extract about an 11 to 1 as well as a 14 or 15 to 1 on the NASDAQ side. So sometimes the market just offers bigger opportunities than normal, and those are obviously the scenarios, right, where you can get that risk multiple even higher. Hopefully this series on the channel really helps kind of seeing a trade start to finish, from the planning process to entering to managing, to exiting and reviewing trades after the fact as well. Feel free to leave a comment down below if you have any questions on really any part of this process. We'll try to do more of these year over year to kind of show you my trades start to finish, and this was just my most recent swing trade that I've put on within my account. So wanted to share this entire process with the team. Thanks everybody.